In the summer of 1954, a group of adventurous tourists set sail for Pharaoh's Island, also known as Coral Island, in the shimmering waters of the Red Sea. The island, shrouded in mystery and legend, was said to hold the secrets of an ancient pharaoh's curse. The group consisted of 8 travelers from different walks of life, all seeking a break from their ordinary lives. As the boat approached the island, the tourists marveled at the crystal-clear waters and the vibrant coral reefs. The island appeared idyllic, a paradise untouched by time. Their guide, a local named Ahmed, regaled them with tales of the island's history. He spoke of an ancient pharaoh who, angered by grave robbers, placed a curse upon the island to protect his treasures. The group disembarked and set up camp near the shore. They included Henry, a retired archaeologist with a passion for ancient Egypt, Margaret, his adventurous wife, David and Susan, a young couple on their honeymoon, Richard, a wealthy businessman, Emily, a schoolteacher with a love for history, and Tom and Sarah, siblings eager for adventure. As night fell, the group gathered around a campfire, the flickering flames casting eerie shadows on the sand. Ahmed continued his stories, his voice lowering as he spoke of the curse. He claimed that those who ventured too far into the island's interior would face the wrath of the pharaoh, never to return. "Tomorrow, we explore the island," Ahmed said. "But remember, stay close and do not disturb anything you find. The curse is not to be taken lightly." The group laughed nervously, dismissing the tales as mere superstition. They retired to their tents, eager for the adventures that awaited them. The next morning, they set out to explore the island. Henry led the way, his eyes gleaming with excitement. They trekked through dense foliage, marveling at the exotic flora and fauna. As they ventured deeper, they stumbled upon ancient ruins, half buried in the sand. "This is incredible," Henry said, examining the hieroglyphs etched into the stone. "These ruins must date back to the time of Pharaoh Khafra." David and Susan wandered off, exploring a nearby cave. Inside, they found a hidden chamber adorned with ancient artifacts. Golden statues, jeweled necklaces, and intricately carved sarcophagi filled the room. "Look at this," David said, picking up a golden amulet. "This must be worth a fortune." "Careful," Susan warned. "Remember what Ahmed said about the curse." David scoffed. "It's just a story. These treasures have been here for thousands of years. What's the harm in taking a little souvenir?" As he placed the amulet around his neck, a cold breeze swept through the chamber, extinguishing their lantern. The darkness was suffocating, and an overwhelming sense of dread filled the air. "We should go," Susan said, her voice trembling. "Something doesn't feel right." David reluctantly agreed, and they hurried back to the group. When they emerged from the cave, they found the others huddled together, their faces pale with fear. "What's wrong?" Susan asked. "It's Ahmed," Margaret said, her voice shaking. "He's gone. We heard him scream, and when we got here, he was nowhere to be found." Henry examined the ground, finding fresh footprints leading into the jungle. "We have to find him," he said. "He might be in trouble." Reluctantly, the group followed the footprints, their nerves on edge. As they ventured deeper into the jungle, the air grew thick and oppressive. Strange noises echoed around them, and shadows seemed to move in the corner of their eyes. They stumbled upon a clearing, where they found Ahmed's hat lying on the ground. There was no sign of him, but the air was filled with a foul stench. Emily gasped, pointing to a nearby tree. Hanging from its branches were crude, wooden effigies, their eyes painted with blood. "This is bad," Richard muttered. "We need to get out of here." Henry examined the effigies, recognizing the symbols carved into them. "These are markers of the curse," he said. "We must have triggered something by disturbing the ruins." "We didn't touch anything," Tom protested. Susan looked at David, guilt etched on her face. David took an amulet from the cave. The group turned to David, their eyes wide with fear. "You have to put it back," Emily said. "Before it's too late." David's face paled as he removed the amulet. "I'll take it back," he said. "Just stay here and wait for me." "No," Henry said. We'll go together. It's safer that way. The group made their way back to the cave, the jungle seeming to close in around them. When they reached the hidden chamber, David placed the amulet back on its pedestal. As he did, the cold breeze returned, and the room seemed to shudder. "We need to leave," Henry said. "Now." They hurried back to their camp, but as they emerged from the jungle, they found their tents torn apart and their supplies scattered. The boat they had arrived on was nowhere in sight. "We're stranded," Margaret said, her voice trembling. "What are we going to do?" "We have to find a way off this island," Henry said. "There must be another way." As they searched the shoreline, they heard a distant chanting. Following the sound, they came upon a group of figures dressed in tattered robes, performing a ritual around a stone altar. On the altar lay Ahmed, unconscious and bound. The figures turned to face the intruders, their eyes glowing with an unnatural light. "You have trespassed on sacred ground," one of them intoned. "The curse cannot be undone." The group backed away, but the figures advanced, their movements swift and predatory. "Run!" Henry shouted, and they sprinted back into the jungle. The chase was relentless, the figures always just behind them. One by one, the tourists were caught, dragged away into the darkness, their screams echoing through the night. Henry, Margaret, and Richard were the last to be captured. They were brought back to the altar, where Ahmed now lay lifeless. The figures chanted, their voices rising to a fever pitch. "You have awakened the wrath of the Pharaoh," the leader said. "And now you must pay the price." As the figures closed in, Henry realized there was no escape. He looked at Margaret, his heart breaking. "I'm sorry," he whispered. She squeezed his hand, tears streaming down her face. "I love you." The last thing they saw was the leader raising a ceremonial dagger, the blade glinting in the moonlight. The tourists' fates were sealed, their lives ending in terror and despair. In the days that followed, their disappearance became a mystery. The island was searched, but no trace of them was ever found. The curse of Pharaoh's Island remained, a dark secret buried beneath the sands, waiting for the next unwary souls to disturb its ancient rest.